will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys? Hi, Mario. Hi, Syria. So wonderful. So happy Saturday. And so what we have today for EB1A questions from all our aspirants in the group?
Absolutely. We have the first feature question that says, in the light of Mukherjee versus Miller, which invalidates denials resting solely on Kazarian step 2 reasoning, what is the correct way of structuring a fresh EB1A petition going forward?
It's a very interesting question, but very subtle. I mean, we should not rush into responding things. Let's understand the dynamics of it. I mean, yes, it is a fact that in the Nebraska court has kind of invalidated or asked, communicated that the FMD has been unlawful, actually. So I'm not going to give a legal advice on this matter, very strictly speaking, because this is a very restrictive from a domain and from a geographical perspective. It's a very, very restrictive statement actually here that, okay, fine, it is not applicable to each and every case that is getting filed. But yes, this makes a very persuasive argument. Now, if I were to do an EB1A based on this current situation and keeping in view the Mukherjee versus Miller case, what I would do is as follows. I would kind of strengthen my criteria to a maximum level where I will establish the sustained acclaim in a very powerful way. That's the most important thing first. I would not like to directly rely on the Mukherjee versus Miller case indicating that, there is Mukherjee versus Miller case, so FMD is not applicable. No. FMD still exists within the books of USCIS, and USCIS for all legal technical purposes would be respecting that actually. So we need to respect that. So notwithstanding wherever you are, I would kind of always suggest that please kind of say that, well, it is a two-step process and we are respecting. However, I mean, before you start FMD section, you can always talk about the meritorious, kind of disposition about this case which has come up, and possibly use the argument on the basis of which this particular FMD section has been found invalidated, keeping in view the Kazarian case. So you will have to it's a very powerful legal argument actually, and then we'll have to see that how these two cases are getting invalidated. This particular case is getting invalidated, but you cannot simply say that, there is a new case which has come up called Miller versus Mukherjee, and so please don't consider. I mean, I'm not obliged to respond to you by this particular matter. So please don't let that happen in your case. So please, I mean, just make sure that you do it very, very diligently. We want to kind of make things, kind of happen. So for you, if you want to make things happen, don't try to just shy away from giving the FMD response also actually. Is that clear? So please follow that. So there is a very strong legal argument I'm advising all my students here in the program to follow, and let's follow that. So what's the next question?
Yeah, absolutely. So our next question, they ask, I've been working on my profile for the past year and I feel it's almost complete. So my questions are, how do you decide the order in which criteria should be presented, and why does sequencing matter?
Wonderful. I always suggest people that please go for the strongest criteria first. It's like your presentation, how it is. Don't go necessarily by the legal order of response. Just go for the strongest criteria first. So if you do that, that's a perfect actually. Okay. So, I mean, I think it's a sequences, because it will help to create a flow. Let's say, for example, you have a very good patents or something like this. So you start with original contribution, because if you are able to overcome original contribution, that will get linked to your critical role. So not automatically, but to a large extent, your critical role becomes very persuasive. If you see that getting persuasive, then your salary becomes very persuasive. Because of the salary you are getting good. Then if you can link, because of your original contribution, if you would have got something, let us say some awards or some judging opportunities or invitations, so that is also good. You can include that also actually. Memberships, you can connect it to everything. So the connectivity becomes very nice actually for that particular purpose. Okay. So that's the way it would be. I would say that. So let's move to the next question.
Oh, of course. So the next question is, how do you tailor a case differently for Texas Service Center versus Nebraska Service Center trends at the next league? I have heard there is a difference depending on which center your petition is sent off to.
First thing, let me tell you, notwithstanding what you do, I've seen off lately that many of us, it does not matter where it goes because it is not in your control. It can go to either thing. And at we next league, our idea is to make case very persuasive. We don't kind of suggest people to kind of decide the persuasiveness or the legality of the case based on Nebraska versus Texas. I mean, that would be a bit unfair and too much actually. I feel the merit of the case, as long as you are strong, because fundamentally, I have been saying this again and again, that you get your EB1 because you are an expert. Your expertise has to be presented to a highest order. Number two is how it is going to benefit the US, and that you will continue prospectively, continue in your field of expertise. So as long as you're doing that, that's perfect actually. Okay. Let's move to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next question asks, what makes an EB1A case feel cohesive rather than stitched together? I've watched several Q&A sessions where Ranjeet mentions that it is about connecting our expertise, but how does the next league achieve this?
Okay, I think that's a very nice question actually. I would say that because the idea is not to look at the criteria from an isolated perspective. You see, let's imagine a case. Let us see how I would like to answer this question. Let's say, for example, there were no criterias and you had to prove that you are an expert. Number two, that US will benefit. And third is that US will prospectively will continue in the field and US will continue to benefit. So if these are the three things that you have, how are you going to prove that US should award you EB1A green card? Now you would list down certain activities and something. So then the way, and then we have to look at all your activities from the lens of the criteria. So this is the way how things get connected. Because you did something happened that created an impact. So it is not only impact outside your work, outside your domain, but also in your professional career, how you grow, how that ladder was getting built up actually. So this is how we would do that. And yes, the common thread that binds every activity together that you have done would be your expertise. It's pretty straightforward, I would say that. But yes, this requires a narrative. Sometimes things are not as straightforward in this. For example, you could be an electronic engineer, but you may have got an award for mathematics, let us say. How do you connect the two? I mean, these things are very important and vital actually. Should you not be using them or should you be using them? So that's something you have to take care. Okay, so let's go next actually.
So yeah, of course. So the next question is, how do you handle profiles with a strong merit but weak third-party validation?
Very simple. You have to get, I mean, there's no matter of handling. It's not a matter of handling a case. It's a matter of how to make it persuasive. You see, for example, when you talk about, let's say, from a lens of the criteria, if you see critical role, you need letters. You don't need third-party validation for that. Okay? When you talk about, let's say, original contribution, you need third-party validations. So it's not something that is that you have a choice, so you are doing this. You need to look it from the perspective. Okay, if somebody has written an article, we had one particular gentleman whose article got cited in a publication by a person who had published in Nature, not Nature Springer, some actual Nature. So definitely, I mean, that would be a third-party validation that would happen actually. So there are certain times where third-party validation is must actually. And if your work, what I have generally seen that if your work is good, definitely people are ready to kind of talk about that and put their stake into that actually. So if your work is just of an average or a mediocrity level, then this would not work. Third party, any professor, any academician, any person. So just imagine you have to give your letter of recommendation even to your neighbor, your best friend. You would like, and if your professional competency is being you are saying that it is because of your professional competency that you are giving. I'm not saying because of the known or unknown, but the whole thing is that it is not only about the independence of the document that is being given, it is also about the merit of the case. More distance you keep the person from yourself, the objectivity and the credibility keeps on enhancing, because otherwise nobody would put their name into it actually, unless and until you find really very persuasive. I mean, for example, let's put it this way: somebody unknown comes to you, walks up to you, and says that, "Do you agree that 1+1 is equal to 2?" Obviously, you agree. Because it is a universal truth. Do you agree that sun rises from the east? Yeah, you definitely agree to that actually, because these are universal truths. So, can you make to a level where your extraordinary ability rises to a level where it is unquestioned? So, independent person would definitely be a good choice for this. So there is nothing like you cannot work your way around for this actually. Okay, let's move to next.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next question, they ask, how do you prove impact when outcomes are long-term or indirect? I've been working on multiple projects for a multitude of years. So what do I have to show in my petition for lasting impact within my field?
You see, impact is because you need to prove sustained acclaim also, and sustained acclaim is not only a function of time. It is also a function of the knowledge that is acquired to reach that level of expertise, and then you do that. So it could be indirect, then it will be an impact on some industry, but definitely it has to be a tangible impact. You have to give metrics actually, either qualitative or quantitative. And it has to be established, proved, documented. Otherwise, it will not work. It cannot be prospective. If I do this, then this will happen. No, that will not work actually for the purpose of people. I want to be very straight and direct here, because many people assume that when they go, it is a prospective, there is $1 billion benefit can happen. No, it does not work for EB1A. Okay, let's move to the next.
Of course. So the next question is, what mistakes do candidates make when explaining their own achievements?
There are a lot of things like, you are not connecting the expertise properly. You don't understand the criteria properly. You've tried to focus too much on criteria. There is no narrative that is get built up. This is infinite actually. There is an infinite list of people. That what we have seen. Documents are not coherent. The evidences are very weak. Okay, so the language is simply a kind of a replication of a regulatory language. So those are very straightforward questions here. What we have, it's not persuasive, because USCIS will ask that, okay, when you talk about any evidence, it should be credible, authentic, and probative. So unless and until it is not probative, it will not work for you actually. So it's pretty straightforward here. It's not about your own achievement. It's about, because I think this particular question comes from premises. I think that's another fundamental error, I would say, that before we close this question, is that the mistake that people are making in this, somebody is making in this while asking this question, that EB1A is not about you. It's not about my achievements. Okay, that is why, let me be very honest about the truth here. Let's say, for example, you get a Nobel Prize, you get your EB1A because there is already criteria. You don't get Nobel Prize because you have climbed Mount Everest. Okay, but by climbing Mount Everest, let us say, because by yourself achieving that peak is nothing. There is no impact. But if you say that by climbing yourself that Mount Everest, you have been able to encourage 1,000 people to take up mountaineering as a passion, which is also health has been improved. People remain motivated. Their energy levels have been improved. You get a clinical, psychological evaluation of people and how it has been impacted, and how for generations people will remember you. That's the reason why somebody who being an Olympic medal, or somebody getting a Nobel Prize, or somebody getting an Oscar deserves an EB1A in a single criteria, or you don't have to prove in any of the criteria, because you become a legend by doing that, because there's an impact of the work that you're doing. So the question itself is very infructuous, that it is coming from You are looking inside. You have to show something outside that has happened. I climbed Mount Everest. Will I get EB1A? Nothing. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the world. What is the life impact thing that you have done? I mean, this is something I think one has to do a lot of introspection. The fundamental defect in this question is that you are talking about yourself here. You may achieve whatever you want, but what is the impact? You don't get EB1A because you achieved something. Okay, let me give you another example. Your name appears in the Guinness Book of World Record. Will you get your EB1A? No. This doesn't qualify for EB1A. Because again, what is the impact of that? Because that is why if you get a Abel prize, you get some other prizes which are world renowned, that will get benefit. Because those prizes are also given for the benefit of the people of the mankind or the other field, contribution to the field. So basically what is happening in those prizes and awards is that everything is collapsing into one. All the criteria is getting collapsed into a single, which is being manifested as one single award. You are a member of Royal Society of London and you have contributed. That is the reason why people make a mistake, that achievement, how you define your achievement. You are thinking that you have got a membership in some organization, that is an achievement. That is nothing. You get into Forbes, that is nothing actually. What is the impact? That is why just getting referred into a publication is also not important. It's about your work that is being spoken about. So that is why I always say that it is not about you being a celebrity. It is about your work being celebrated. I like this question, and especially the last part which I mentioned is, I think, going to be very critical for people who are on their EB1A journey. You don't do EB1A because you don't apply for because you want a green card, because you have created an impact in the world, and so you are getting it. Okay, let's move to the next and last question, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. So our last question, I think, will kind of give you a really good closer. But what separates a fileable case from a high confidence case?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Self-confidence is just a self-perception. I would say that actually. I mean, fileable case is based on evidences. Confidence is nothing. Confidence is just let you work actually. But fileable case is nothing but all your evidences are in order and it is credible, authentic and probative. Simple. Just because you have confidence doesn't mean that you can file a case tomorrow actually. I think many people have that illusion about themselves actually here. Because when they come to, we have some students, I mean, they feel very, very confident actually, but their case not at all fileable. And also we have had some people whose cases were fileable, but they were not confident so much initially. So it is a mix of both. So when it comes to EB1A, I like this question though actually, are mutually exclusive to a very large extent, though there would be a common intersection. There are some people who are both actually. Because confidence helps you to continue working, persistence. It is the only, and to that extent, it is worthwhile. So that's all I have, friends, here today. And if you have any questions and if you want to come on this show, please let us know. We'll be more than happy. And if there are, you want to join the Next League program, please reach out to Mario, Syria, myself, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. The link will be given below in the comments. So wish you all the best and have a wonderful day and have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any further questions or need personalized guidance, please reach out to us. We are here to help you every step of the way in your journey towards achieving your American dream. Let's connect and make it happen together.